Let's talk about a problem that drives countless tech projects absolutely crazy: the almost ready trap. You know the one. In this breakdown, we're going to figure out why app launches get stuck in this weird limbo, and more importantly, I'll give you a playbook to turn those delays into a real strategic advantage. Does that sound familiar? It's that super frustrating loop where the finish line just keeps moving further away every single week. Now, this isn't just some minor hiccup, it's a huge red flag that your project is caught in a cycle of endless tweaks and constantly shifting priorities. But here's the good news: you are not doomed. These kinds of delays almost always follow predictable patterns. The real key is learning to spot these patterns early so you can step in and steer your project back towards a successful launch. So let's start by diagnosing the core issues, shall we? Okay, first things first, we gotta diagnose the problem. It's almost never one single massive mistake, nah. It's usually a pileup of smaller, unaddressed issues that eventually cause the entire project to just grind to a halt. Let's take a look at the 5 most common causes. First up is a total classic: the disconnect between the business side and the tech side. Imagine the business team asks for a simple login with social media. To them, it's just one button. But to the engineering team, it's a complex web of APIs, security protocols, and data privacy headaches. When these two perspectives aren't aligned right from the get-go, you just end up in this endless cycle of revisions, building a product that doesn't really meet anyone's needs. Oh, this next one is incredibly common. Teams fall in love with a really clever solution before they even fully understand the problem they're trying to solve. Think of a team building a super complex new scheduling tool with AI, when all their users really needed was just a simpler way to share a calendar link. Without doing that proper user discovery up front, you risk building a perfect answer to the completely wrong question. And then there's the temptation of the new, shiny tech. A team might decide to build their app using some brand new, super complex framework because, it's the future. But this often leads to a really steep learning curve and all sorts of unforeseen bugs, which slows everything down. The smarter move? A lot of times, it's to start with proven, simpler technology to get to market fast, and then evolve your tech stack as your needs grow. So many teams sprint towards that code-complete milestone, only to hit a brick wall. Why? Because they've completely forgotten about the entire launch process. The App Store review gauntlet, the support documentation, the marketing materials. This isn't just paperwork. It's a critical part of the project that, if you ignore it, can cause weeks of delay right at the finish line. And we absolutely cannot forget the human cost. An unclear direction, constant changes to the scope, endless revisions. It is exhausting. This emotional burnout just drains your team's motivation, their creativity, and their morale, which, guess what, leads to slower work and really unpredictable outcomes. So, what happens when all these delays start to pile up? Well, the impact goes way beyond just a missed deadline. It actually creates this domino effect that can quietly sabotage your entire business's growth and reputation. And this really shows you that chain reaction. First, you lose your first mover advantage, giving competitors a golden opportunity to grab your audience. Then, as timelines stretch, what started as a well-budgeted plan becomes a costly nightmare. Soon, stakeholders and investors start to lose confidence. Potential revenue just vanishes into thin air, and your brand's reputation for being reliable takes a serious hit. All right, enough with the doom and gloom. Now that we've diagnosed the problem, let's talk about the cure. Here is a clear, actionable playbook to get your project out of that almost ready trap and finally across the finish line. So here's the playbook. Step 1, define a strict minimum viable product. Think of this as your fence against that dreaded just one more feature scope creep. Step 2, build in modules. Instead of one giant release, you develop and test smaller pieces, which massively lowers your risk. Step 3, automate your pipeline. This means using tools, you'll often hear it called CI/CD, to handle routine builds and tests, which is way faster and less prone to human error. Step 4, use dark launches. This is super clever. It's where you release a new feature to just a tiny percentage of users to see how it performs before big public rollout. Step 5, prep for the App Store early. Don't wait until the last minute. And finally, step 6, set clear internal agreements or SLAs. For example, you can agree that all code reviews will be done within 24 hours. This prevents simple tasks from becoming major bottlenecks. Getting your app launched is a huge victory, for sure. But it's not the end of the story, not even close. The real challenge often begins after you go live. Keeping an app alive, loved by users, and scaling smoothly, that's where the real work starts. And just look at these real-world examples. Remember Clubhouse? All that initial hype just vanished because they couldn't keep users engaged for the long term. Be Real became this huge sensation, but then really struggled to figure out how to make money. Blue Sky was flooded with new users, which immediately revealed a ton of bugs and performance issues. Notion almost failed and had to rebuild from scratch. And poor Meerkat, a pioneer in live streaming, got absolutely crushed by Twitter's Periscope, which launched right after them. These stories are a powerful reminder that launch is just the beginning. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? Getting your project moving again isn't about rushing or cutting corners. It's really about shifting to a smarter, more focused strategy, one that prioritizes precision, clarity, and a solid plan for what comes after the launch. And that's really the fundamental question you should be asking yourself. Are you building a project just to get it out the door, or are you building a product that's meant to last? Answering that question honestly from day one is the absolute best way to avoid the almost ready trap and build something that's truly successful. Thanks for joining this breakdown.